was raised Catholic in a non-religious home. My mom sent my sister and I to Sunday school and through baptism and confirmation, First Communion, so that if we ever wanted to get married in a church, we won't have to go through all the hassle that she had to go through. But it was purely a convenience thing, not a faith thing. Despite that, I always believed in God, but believing in a God was a lot different from understanding or loving God. I was raised in a home in a neighborhood that had a lot of psychological, emotional, and physical violence and abuse. I resented God for a lot of what went wrong in my life. When I was 12, I started using drugs with my sister. By the time I was 14, I was dealing them. And then when I was 16, my best friend Kyle died. A lot of other people died that year. A lot of things just turned south, and I went from resenting God, maybe holding grudges against God, to hating Him, to blaming Him for everything. My drug use went from being recreational and fun to being addictive, a way to cope, a way to survive and get through the day. And it spiraled out of control. I started dealing more destructive drugs to support my more destructive habits. By the time I was 21, I was living in a trailer park, using drugs full-time, dealing drugs as a full-time job. I was destroying my body. I was 265 pounds, and that was in the summer of 2010. That summer, things started to spiral really out of control. My drug stash got robbed. I got drunk. Me and my roommate went over to the guy's house with a baseball bat and committed an assault. 4 hours later, I was arrested for attempted murder. I went to county jail. After 3 months in court, I was sentenced to 41 months in prison for a first-degree assault. You would think that I would start to turn things around there, but I didn't. I went to prison. I still did a bunch of destructive things, still got into trouble, and was required to go to treatment after getting out of the hole once. 2 months into treatment, I was still using psych meds that I stole, and I was coming down off a high one night, alone in my cell, probably at like 2 a.m., and just felt empty. I felt hopeless. I felt like I've always been a survivor and I couldn't survive anymore, and it was in that moment that I experienced God for the first time. I felt Him there with me. It's an experience I can't really put into words, but it was spiritual, and I came to believe. And in that moment, I decided I was going to be sober. I decided I was going to change my life. I started reading the Word. I started attending a worship service every Sunday. I started listening to radio ministry. I got sober and graduated treatment and got accepted into an early release program last summer, where they released me to a Christian-based halfway house in Golden Valley on July 26, 2012. I got out, and since then my life has been filled with blessings. I found a job a week after getting released to the halfway house. I started coming to Journey. A month later, I started serving here as a volunteer. In the past 8 months now that I've been out, I've maintained sobriety. I go to AA and NA meetings. I come to Journey every week. I've been promoted into management at my job. I live in a sober house with 5 other Christians, and next August I have the opportunity to move in with 6 young Christian men my age and fellowship in a house together on University of Minnesota campus while I go back to college. If you would have asked me when I was 16, 18, 21 where I'd be when I was 24, it wouldn't have been here. It wouldn't have been living a Christian life. It wouldn't have been loving God and trying to put Him into every aspect of my life, but I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now.